Okay.
Hello! And welcome to the 9th Annual People's State of the City! Yes, you heard that right, 9 years! My name is Amber Va, and I am Long Beach born and raised, a proud Khmer transgender woman, a poly jackrabbit, woo woo, and now a student at California State University, Long Beach. It doesn't get more Long Beach than me. I'm thrilled to be one of your speakers for tonight's event.
Good evening, Long Beach. How are you guys doing tonight? My name is Mayra Garcia-Cortez. I am also a proud Latina resident of Long Beach, born at St. Mary's Hospital and raised in this beautiful city. How are you guys doing tonight? I managed to juggle 3 jobs, school, a loving family, fighting for renters' rights, fighting for special education. And tonight I will be one of your program speakers. Thank you for having me.
Tonight is a big night for our community, and we're happy to see you all gathered here. We come in honor and in solidarity with the native Tongva people, whose land we stand on today, and whose legacy we continue to fight for. This year marks the 4th year of delivering this address here in this historic sanctuary. And we like to thank the church for opening their doors to all of us. Please give a warm welcome to Reverend Elena Larson from First Congregational Church.
Hello, everybody. How are you tonight? Are you getting kind of excited for this amazing tradition? I know I am. Would you shout out if you have been here before? Gosh, that is the most amazing sound. I'm so glad. And to those of you who are here for the first time, I want to give you a big, big welcome. Every Sunday and anytime we gather as a congregation, we say, no matter who you are or where you are on life's journey, you are welcome here at First Church. And that is true tonight for the People's State of the City. We are delighted you are here. Thank you for being here at the First Congregational Church. I have a very special guest tonight. So the way our church works is I'm the minister and we have an elected member of the congregation, and I've invited her to greet you tonight. I want you to meet Julie Ford. And Julie.
Hello, everyone. Yes, I'm Julie Ford, she, her, hers. I am a native of Long Beach, born and raised, and I live in Long Beach currently and work in Long Beach. I'm very lucky to live and work in this great city. I've been a member here since 2013. My wife and I were married in this beautiful sanctuary in 2014. Woo! Anyway, I love being a part of such a rich and diverse community. And through this church, I have had many opportunities to contribute and give back. And that's one of the things I love about First Church. And this church really works for justice alongside people of all walks of life. So we are so honored that you are here and are thankful for the opportunity to serve this community. Bienvenidos y bienvenidas. Gracias por su presencia.
This church is not for us, it is for the community, and we welcome you. Thank you for bringing life and joy, purpose, and passion for justice into these historic walls. Tonight, let's make history, and in this time when our country needs hope, health, change, and revolution, Let's get it done in 2020 and we'll do it together. Thank you, friends.
Thank you, Reverend Larson. I'm thankful to be standing here in front of you all after having been part of the Long Beach Rising Leadership Program this summer. The skills and knowledge that I learned from these amazing organizers for social justice has empowered me to continue advocating for myself and fight displacement. I'm grateful for all the work done in the community to bring the people's state of the city to life. When I say Long Beach, you say city, Long Beach! City. Long Beach! City. Long Beach! City. Can't be beat!
Let's give a big round of applause to the community organizations in the Long Beach Rising Coalition that made tonight's events possible.
The California Faculty Association Long Beach Chapter.
Housing Long Beach.
Kamai Girls in Action.
Long Beach Forward.
Long Beach Gray Panthers.
The Long Beach Coalition.
Los Angeles Alliance for a New Economy.
Youth Leadership Institute and Voice Waves.
There's been a lot of hard work here tonight to ensure that tonight's audience is as diverse as it could be. We want to give a shout out and thanks to the elective officials, legislative staff, and community members who serve on citywide boards and commissions who are joining us to listen to people and be in community tonight. Thank you for being here.
The People's State of the City is not like a Netflix show where you just sit and listen. Tonight is about interacting with each other, connecting with one another, and holding space for one another. Throughout the presentation, we encourage you all to post pictures, reflections, and any other powerful moments on social media using Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram with the hashtag PeoplePowerLB.
To make your thoughts really count, we've handed paper programs to all of you that include maps of the city by council districts and school board districts. These are all the districts that make up the entire Long Beach City Council and Board of Education, who vote on laws, decide how we spend money, and represent us in city government or make decisions regarding our children's education.
Use the map to find your representatives so you can contact them about the issues impacting your community and tag them on social media throughout the night and in the future. There's also information about Mayor Robert Garcia, who represents all Long Beach residents. Tag, call, and contact away, and let your voice be heard.
And by popular demand, we brought back the emoji reactions. We encourage you to hold them up tonight for others to see as you react through tonight's program, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Show me some love if you're ready to get things started, Long Beach!
So much to do in Long Beach. I like this vibe. Yes, it's a wonderful city. Did you see the Queen Mary, the aquarium, and the red double-decker buses?
Yeah, so much to do. We should definitely come back. Let's get an Airbnb.
Yeah, we have to see all the beaches, the diverse food. It's wonderful.
All these coffee shops. Look at one in every corner. And these high rises. My gosh. But you know what's really good? The warm weather.
I wonder what it would be like to live here.
Yeah, I wonder.
If only they knew that everything that glitters isn't gold.
So, my neighbors and I were all kicked out of our condo, and now all 4 units are listed on Airbnb. Where is the accountability?
My family lives in fear of deportation, even if our city has a justice fund. That does not keep ICE from collaborating with police and intimidating us by driving around in their cars.
I hope people get themselves counted for the census, despite Trump's attempts to intimidate our immigrant community. We need everyone to be counted.
I wish there were more school counselors and art in my school than cops. It sucks having our backpacks searched for no reason. I wish the kids who look like me weren't targeted for discipline at rates higher than white kids.
People misgender me on purpose, even if I tell them my pronouns, and no one wants to talk about it because they're not ready yet, but I'm still uncomfortable.
Being a parent is the real labor of love, as we are constantly trying to provide a dignified quality of life for our children with poor resources.
I'm panicked because my senior housing is becoming market priced. I won't be able to afford the new rent, and I don't know where I'll find a place that I can afford. It has to have easy access because I can't climb lots of steps, particularly with groceries. What can I do?
All these big, new, fancy buildings are pushing my neighbors out and bringing in people with more money, 3 times my income. How am I supposed to have a chance?
I don't think anyone understands how isolating it is to have a disability unless you yourself are disabled. Scooters left carelessly in the middle of the sidewalk, cars parked over driveway aprons, sidewalks in disrepair, and lack of accessible parking puts our lives at risk.
We are being poisoned by an incinerator, freeways, rail yards, ports, and refineries. Our babies are born early, and we die sooner than people in East Long Beach.
We need for our elected officials to stop helping the police department hide their violent acts. I also wish the Citizens Police Complaint Commission really held the department accountable. I just want everyone to feel safe.
And now they know to look past the glitter, for community is the real gold.
Among some of the community's darkest points in the past year, I was struggling with my family to find hope. After living in fear of retaliation from our landlord and living in an unsafe home cited with $22,000 in code violations, but no real accountability on our landlord to pay those fines, I felt like nothing could change. What gave me hope was people like my mother, who despite being a single mother never stopped fighting. People like my brother who despite his disabilities never stopped inspiring us. People like Maria with Housing Long Beach who worked with us to stand up for our rights and our dignity. In moments like these, it was the community that reminded me what I was fighting for all people to live happy and successful lives, for all families to have what they need to thrive, and for all communities to feel included and seen as valuable members of society. It's a welcomed vision away from the harsh realities of racism, gentrification, sexism, homophobia, ableism, and exclusion that we have been bombarded with in the past few years. With the dawn of a new decade, the obstacles in our path towards collective survival, unity, and freedom are clear. But there's one thing I am confident about. If we have built any kind of movement in the past few years, then we are ready and able to overcome our challenges and build the world we know is possible. Those challenges are not easy to overcome, but working people from across the city are proving that the ones who will save us are ourselves. That means that we must fight for what we believe in, so let's talk about these obstacles.
First, we are in a fight to reclaim our climate, our land, and our people's legacies. Our relationship to land is sacred. Land is connected to all the people who walks across it. The soil bears our food. The land defines our lives, and the earth holds our future. It is our sacred and collective responsibility to care for the land we inhabit and preserve it for generations to come. We do this by learning from our ancestors, including defending sacred lands like Pavunga from development in the name of scarcity and profit. We as a community must stand in solidarity and move into action with the Tongva people in protecting the sacred site of Pavunga from the non-native interests that continue to speculate the land. We must care for the earth by teaching each other about the environment and how we can relate to one another. Fighting for our environment is what got me into activism. And this is what the Just Environment Long Beach Collaborative has started to build with community-led solutions to environmental pollution and healthy, equitable land use. Together, they have popularized environmental education and made it accessible for people through bus tours and leadership trainings to build community knowledge about how pollution sources, land use, and transportation shape our neighborhoods and impact our health. Understanding how we as people are connected to the land we walk on and the air we breathe helps us understand how we are connected to one another despite our differences. If we want to achieve a better future where all people have their needs met and can live fulfilling lives, we must see value in each other because of the color of our skin, the language we speak, and the places we come from. At the end of the day, wealthy interests who control our environments try to divide us with imaginary borders and constructed differences so they can continue to exploit our land, exploit our communities, exploit our labor, and keep people fighting each other. Boo! Come on now. To that, we say, abolish these borders. Abolish these devised tactics. And abolish racism. No ban, no wall. No ban, no wall. Sanctuary for wall. One more time now. No ban, no wall. Sanctuary for all. There you go.
In 1926, Long Beach hosted one of the largest white supremacist marches in the LA area at Bixby Park. So when modern-day white supremacists announced their plans to rally in Bluff Park and spread their hateful ideology in 2019, the Long Beach community organized and marched against racism and fascism. Even more people came together after a few months later to push ICE out of Long Beach and march for the dignity and humanity of the caravan migrants reaching the US border. How's that for reclaiming our legacy? If we truly see ourselves reflected in each other, then we will reject the ideas that political and physical walls can separate us. When we start to look at people who look completely different from us or have completely different experiences from us, and we see our fate intertwined with theirs, our individual freedom and liberation from oppression becomes inseparable, regardless of how dark the situations may be. 3 years ago to this month, after some of the darkest days in the city's immigrant community and allies came together to begin an amazing journey that would change the course of Long Beach history. After facing a lack of political support and intimidation from the Long Beach Police Department, the Sanctuary Long Beach Coalition not only won the Long Beach Values Act to limit police collaboration with ICE, but also established the Long Beach Justice Fund to provide free legal representation to immigrant residents facing deportation. On top of that, the Justice Fund was established to provide universal representation so any immigrant could get legal help regardless of their background. With the Justice Fund created, the City of Long Beach allocated $250,000 to jumpstart the fund and was able to get an additional $100,000 from the Vera Institute for Justice, bringing the total legal aid to $350,000. How's that for representation? The Long Beach Justice Fund has put Long Beach on the front lines of protecting immigrant communities as we now join 4 other California cities with similar funds and are now part of a network of 18 other cities across the United States doing similar efforts. As of February 2020, 18 Long Beach residents have been given a fighting chance to challenge their deportation case and now have legal representation in court because of the Long Beach Justice Fund. This includes 8 young children who now have a fighting chance to continue growing up in Long Beach because the community came together and organized. We are helping to keep families together, changing people's lives like we have for Marco. Marco is a longtime resident of Long Beach who migrated with his family to the United States as a child. Growing up, he struggled with poverty and trauma. He got caught up in the criminal justice system. Despite this, he made great efforts to improve his life and completed both anger management and substance abuse programs. Although Marco was detained for 6 months and not initially eligible for a bond hearing, his attorney provided to him through the Long Beach Justice Fund and fought for him and succeeded on getting him released on bond. Let me hear you make some noise if you believe everyone like Marco should have a fighting chance at freedom. We're going to have more stories like Marco's so long as we continue to have racist immigration laws. Unfortunately, not all of our community members can afford to buy their freedom under our racist, classist, and monetized criminal justice system. Tonight, I am proud to announce that after months of discussions, planning, negotiating, and even taking trips to San Diego to learn from our allies fighting for freedom in the borderlands, the Sanctuary Long Beach Coalition is launching the Long Beach Liberation Fund to bail out and free our immigrant neighbors from immigrant detention and bring them home. Bring them home! Bring them home! Bring them home! Bring them home!
People like you and I are making history with these new efforts. This means that 1, Long Beach police are limited from working with ICE agents. 2, the Long Beach Community Defense Network will activate community members to help protect deportation pickups. 3, detainees will be eligible for free legal representation regardless of their background. And 4, they will now have the chance to be bailed out of detention while they fight their deportation cases. Let's hear it. This is what sanctuary looked like. Sanctuary, not deportation. Sanctuary, not deportation. Oh, come on. Y'all can do better than that. Sanctuary, not deportation. We've come a long way from the white supremacy marches in the street, but this is about more than just belonging and justice, and we have a lot of work ahead of us. First, the cities of Long Beach's $250,000 investment in the Long Beach Justice Fund expires this summer and will be up for a vote in the next budget cycle. We need to show the mayor and city council that legal representation matters because people matter and family matters. There you go. Because immigrants facing deportation do not have the guarantee of an attorney to represent them. 70% of detained immigrants face deportation alone. Providing legal representation promotes due process and dignity and result in better outcomes. In fact, represented immigrants are up to 10 times more likely to establish a right to remain in the United States. If you support the City of Long Beach continuing to contribute to the Long Beach Justice Fund, let me hear you make some noise. Second, we now have a liberation fund that needs money for people's freedom. Thanks to the support from our allies at Orange County Justice Fund, we now have the ability to liberate our people and fight back against the federal administration's greed and exploitation over the immigrant community. In the coming months, the Sanctuary Long Beach Coalition will be calling on our community to step up and help contribute to the Liberation Fund through fundraisers, house parties, and much more. Unlike the Justice Fund, the Liberation Fund will be completely community funded and powered by people who believe in freedom like you all do. Help join the effort and stay in the loop by following the coalition on Facebook and Twitter at Sanctuary LB. Every dollar into the Liberation Fund means $1 closer to someone's freedom. Let me hear you make some noise, y'all.
Hey. Good evening. My name is Audrina Redmond. I'm an unapologetic organizer with the California Faculty Association and Black Lives Matter, Long Beach. I'm honored to be here tonight to carry you through the next part of our journey. Our fight to reclaim our land and people is not only the obstacle facing us in the years to come. Over the past couple of years and months, working people, young and old, have challenged the status quo. Ideas of what it means to have a safe community where everyone is valued and has worth. When the foundation of our society is built around making money, and the idea that something or someone is only valuable when there is money attached, then we are left with the problems we see today: crime, violence, displacement, exclusion, and apathy. What, I ask you, would happen if communities were actually first? Too often, working people who are Black, Indigenous, and people of color are left out of the decision-making process that impacts our lives, whether through laws purposefully excluding us or people in positions of power imposing their will. In my lifetime, I have known for my people and myself too many occasions where the color of our skin has led to the denial of our dignity and humanity. It can be hard, it is hard, but trust me, we still rise. I have the power to change things, just like you all do, even if it's just sharing knowledge and raising our consciousness. So here we go. In Long Beach, we are situated in one of the wealthiest parts of the world and home to some of the wealthiest industries, the Port of Long Beach, for example. Yet people continue to be left behind. Our struggle for value and worth is both personal and financial, which is why 2019 was the first start of working people taking the fight to the budgeting process. If communities were first, our schools would be safe spaces where every student can be supported to reach their full potential, and this is what we want. That's what hundreds of people have demonstrated over 4 Saturdays by attending day-long forums on how Long Beach Unified School District can use funding meant for high-needs students to close the achievement and discipline gaps that exist. These forums helped parents and students better understand the school district's budgeting process and give their direct input into how Black, Indigenous, and students of color, low-income students, foster youth, special education students, and English language learners could be better supported to graduate. These forums were just one part of a historical settlement reached between community groups and the school district over the district's misallocation of at least $24 million. That money was meant for high-need students through the state's local control funding formula, or LCFF for short. When parents, students, and community come together, we can reimagine our schools and engage the community in decisions that matter. Let's make some noise for the parents and advocates involved in making all that happen. We make LCFF work. But engaging parents and students does not stop with the budget. Late last year, Superintendent Christopher Steinhauser announced his retirement at the end of this school year after 18 years in the position. Now the third largest school district in California, in one of the country's most diverse cities, is looking for a new superintendent, and it's a process that everyone has a stake in. The district has 71,800 students in 85 schools throughout Long Beach, Lakewood, Signal Hill, and Avalon on Catalina Island. More than 2/3 of those students live in lower income households, and over 87% of the student population are Black, Indigenous, or students of color. Yet somehow, the outgoing superintendent and Board of Education have decided to dismiss doing a national search for this important position. I'm with you on that. Let me see the emojis. Yeah. They have reluctantly settled to search for a new superintendent only in California and with limited public engagement except for a few stakeholders. What? That ain't right. Our students deserve the best. This new superintendent will guide our schools into the next decade, and our community deserves to be heard and engaged in the process to find the best that there is. Make some noise if you agree. If communities were first, prioritizing education and young people would mean focusing on the youngest among us. I'm talking about the babies and the children. Those 5-year-olds of a child, those first 5 years of a child's development are critical steps for someone's future, and every child should be nurtured to success. This is why I'm inspired by the parents, caregivers, and community organizations that are all part of the Best Start Central Long Beach partnership. Together, they are creating the best possible community for families and young children from ages 0 to 5. Now they're calling on the community to transform the lives of children and their families by engaging in a participatory budget process to decide how $450,000 should be spent on community-identified priorities. This participatory budgeting process is not only a way to support community projects that build parenting skills or improve access to childcare and housing, it's a way to empower people. Empower people to get involved in budget decisions that will impact their lives. Since the Long Beach Coalition launched participatory budgeting in 2014, people from across the community have learned the value and worth that comes with democracy and getting involved in the decisions that have a direct impact on our lives. If you want to help turn community ideas into funded projects that you can actually vote on, get involved with Best Start Central Long Beach. If we value democracy and building power, we hope that others in the community and government will build off these efforts and include more participatory budgeting, especially in the city's budget process. If communities were first, the traditional ways we think people are kept safe would be transformed, and that's happening. 5 years ago, people in Long Beach and voters in California passed Proposition 47 to give people second chances and transform our justice system into one that heals people instead of harming people. Because of Proposition 47, California has reinvested hundreds of millions of dollars from prisons and jails into community-based crime prevention programs proven to keep our neighborhoods safer. Hundreds of thousands of Californians have sought to reduce old felony convictions, which has opened up access to opportunities like jobs, housing, and family reunification. California now has an infrastructure to connect crime survivors with trauma recovery services that our communities need for healing. 5 years later, Proposition 47 has paved the way for new people to continue reimagining and rebuilding our society into a safer and more inclusive community. This is how working people successfully and more inclusively work together for a safer and more inclusive community. This is how working people successfully got the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors to outright reject building a new women's jail and mental health jail, and instead build a mental health treatment facility. I want to give a very special shout out for all the work put in by Los Angeles-based Dignity and Power Now, and of course to the Black Lives Matter Regional Network for all the work to make this a reality. This is how immigrant communities banded together to successfully ban private prisons and immigrant detention facilities from operating in California. Now corporations like the GEO Group will no longer profit off immigrants because of this statewide work. This is how community members and city employees came together to successfully prevent the Long Beach Police Department from taking over the Long Beach Airport after years of anti-labor tactics from city management, prioritizing profit over people's safety. This is how people have started to stand up for real accountability and transform our police department. I want you to imagine with me what would happen if we used our resources to give everyone a home instead of a ticket. Didn't hear that. Imagine if we had trained mental health professionals who could respond to mental health emergencies instead of police officers with guns. Imagine if we each knew a neighbor on our block who we could call in a domestic dispute instead of having to rely on officers trained to shoot. Reducing our reliance on police is more tangible than we think. And the newly formed Long Beach Coalition for Abolition and Transformation wants you to be a part of this movement. On Monday, February 24th, you are all invited to join the coalition for a community dialogue to reimagine public safety. It begins at 6:30 on Monday, February 24th at Revive 7th Street Church. It's up to us to resist the profit-driven interests and politicians who maintain the status quo and tell us what public safety, and tell us that public safety comes at the cost of our own harm. We as the people can transform our society for the better. Make some noise if you're ready to continue building on this momentum in the next decade. If communities were really first, the most marginalized among us within our society would be prioritized and included. This is what equity means: just and fair inclusion into a society where everyone can participate, where everyone can prosper and reach their full potential. Some strides have been made in Long Beach for sure, like the city's commitment to fund the Office of Aging with an equity lens and offer a new leadership program for older adults, or the city's continued implementation for the language access policy, which requires city documents and services to be available in Spanish, Khmer, and Tagalog. In reality, we still have a long way to go until we achieve our commitment to equity. Equity acknowledges that there are deliberate, powerful, and alienating barriers to marginalized communities that won't just go away after a year or two. And the longer these issues go unfunded and not cared for, the more the inaction makes the most vulnerable people suffer. For example, the city passed a language access policy in 2014, but it still continues to be underfunded 7 years later. So what does that cost us? The city of Long Beach opened a really nice, very fancy, brand new, $533 million civic center last year. It offered a majority of services and directions in what? English only. Thanks to the advocacy of parents and community members speaking at City Council about how difficult navigating these public services were, members of the Language Access Coalition were able to give input to city staff about how today's City Hall could be improved for all residents of Long Beach. We call on the city to further this commitment and fully fund the language access policy for the first time in the city's history. But you know, our people are persistent and resilient. Because of people like Amber, who have pushed the Long Beach Unified School District to create more gender-neutral restrooms in schools, transgender students will have spaces free from bullying. Because of the hundreds, yeah, clap for that, clap for that. Because of the hundreds of people who rolled out to Cambodia Town to march in last year's May Day March, Long Beach stood up in solidarity with workers across the world. This is how we build movements and bridge our communities in connection to one another. I hope to see all of you in the streets on Friday, May 1st for the May Day Long Beach March in support of International Workers' Day. Finally, if communities were first, we would change the entire way we fund our schools and neighborhoods. That's why young people are leading the way to gather signatures and ensure the schools and communities' first ballot measure qualifies for the November 2020 ballot. But hey, I'll stop talking and let them tell you.
Hey, Amy, you want to hear a knock-knock joke?
Sure.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Corporations.
Corporations? Who?
Corporations who make billions of profit in our local communities but don't pay their taxes.
That's too real. It's about time that they pay what they owe. Wait, I thought this was supposed to be a joke.
Well, isn't it? While we're hustling and bustling and paying our taxes, Disney, Shell, and other corps aren't paying theirs.
I thought jokes was gonna make me laugh.
I mean, okay, I'll try again. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Raccoon.
Raccoon who?
Raccoon that I ran over because all the street lights were out.
Wait, what?
Okay, fine, I didn't hit it, but it went into the pothole on my street.
Oh my gosh, not playing anymore, I'm done.
Well, would you open the door if it was $12 billion for our people to give to our public resources and schools for and streets?
Yes, but what's in it? What's the catch?
The only thing that we're catching is big corporations that aren't paying their fair share. Oh wait, there's people around. Oh, hi. We're just, okay. Well, I see that there's youth. Can I get some noise from the youth?
How about all of the adults who wants to empower our youth in our community? Make some noise. Cool, so we're here. What's up, everyone? My name is Amy.
I'm San.
And we are alumni with My Girls in Action, and now staff who runs our integrative voter. Yes! KGA in the house. So now we run our integrative voter engagement program.
So while we're not pros at knock-knock jokes, we're pro at connecting with our residents. We talk about issues that are pro-people and pro-youth. We canvass our communities, knocking on doors, and phone banking because we love, believe, and care. This is a big year. It's 2020. We are talking to residents and voters about investing back into schools and communities, tax budget equity, census, and getting out to vote. So if you haven't already signed a petition, please do. To the folks who signed our petition for Schools and Community First, make some noise.
Cool. So our lives tell a story of how political is personal. Tonight, we will share how deep divestment and systemic oppression impacts our personal life and why supporting schools and communities first is a game changer for our communities and the next generation. So I'm the second generation Cambodian, born in Long Beach, raised in District 6 all my life. My mother and father resettled here after the Khmer Rouge back in the late 70s, and Long Beach has become home ever since. I can't imagine moving out, as this is home to two of my children who attend the same elementary school that I went to. Long Beach is also home to the largest populations of Cambodians in the US. My family resettled here, yep, that's right. My family resettlement wasn't so easy. My siblings and I have probably moved more than 10 times before I hit 16. I translated medical materials for my mom and dad who suffers from PTSD from the war, and I was like 9 years old, right, Jai? My sister's right here. I held a lot of responsibilities. I didn't understand these responsibilities, and it led to misunderstanding, and it led to frustration, anger, rebellious ways. This affects how I focused in school and my ability to plan ahead and set goals, and even how I coped with difficult times. And limit public resources created shared reality for my community. I would always hear my parents argue about housing, health, bills, and fighting to put food on the table. So this kind of systemic oppression also broke families apart. Looking back, I realized that I had so much responsibility because there wasn't enough resources. The policies were set up to criminalize poor people. I stand here today as a mother of 2 sons and as a staff member of Khmer Girls in Action that was and is still my resource. And we fight for funding for my sons, the youth in the city, to be seen and heard by the state and so that the city can allocate funding resources to young people.
Thank you so much, Amy, for sharing. Hearing your story, I really related to because I'm second generation Cambodian too. Now I'm here leading the canvassing team in efforts to mobilizing my community. We are the results of what happens when you invest in youth and in our communities. Whether we're Southeast Asian, Black, Latinx, as young people, we have the right for the future that meets our most basic needs, a roof over our heads, quality education, and a healthy and safe environment. The truth is, we're hustling every day for the things that we need, while wealthy corporations and billionaires get richer every day because the rules are rigged in their favor. As young people, we are the largest and most diverse generation. Can y'all make some noise? When we, the people, come together, we can use our collective power to change the rules, and the corporation can pay their fair share and value the communities that they do business in. We deserve and to thrive, not to hustle and make ends meet. Join the movement of young voters to hold corporations and our city accountable to invest in our future and fund the people's need, not the corporation's greed. So please sign the Schools and Communities First petition with us, yeah? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's give them another hand. If we as a community pass the Schools and Communities First measure, $12 billion, I said billion with a B, $12 billion every year will be given to schools and local communities across California by closing corporate property tax loopholes and ensuring corporations pay their fair share. Take Google, for example, which has a giant corporate building in West Los Angeles. This would mean that instead of Google paying as low as $6 per square foot because of corporate loopholes, they would pay $300 to $400 per square foot, just like every other property owner in that same neighborhood. Los Angeles County alone is expected to receive $3.6 billion with a B dollars. Even more, Long Beach will receive nearly $25 million into our city's general fund. This means a wealth of new resources for our city to do the right thing and invest in the programs and services that actually keep communities safe, such as parks, libraries, housing, language access, the Justice Fund, mental health services, and our health department. We could begin to reverse the historic trend of our health department getting less than 1% of our general fund, while the police department gets 44% of those resources, and they're still asking for more. We can begin to truly invest in the support of our communities and the things that our communities need and create a city budget that works for the people, not private interest. People, not profits. People, not profits. People, not profits.
Hey, Long Beach. This has been quite a night so far, right? My name's Leanna Noble, and I've lived and organized in a heck of a lot of cities and towns, but Long Beach, time and time again, has been my true home. Take it from this former union organizer, the fight for justice and peace lives strong to this day here in our town. The people's state of the city would not be by the people without tackling the biggest obstacle of our time, the housing crisis. Raise your hand if you or somebody you know has faced a massive rent increase. Raise your hand if somebody that you know or you yourself has been displaced. And raise your hand if you have seen gentrification in your neighborhood. That's exactly what I thought. This is our reality here in Long Beach, and it ain't right. I gotta tell you, this is not new. When some neighbors and I were fed up with rent hikes and displacement happening to seniors and low-income families back in the 70s here in Long Beach, and yes, I mean the 1970s, we thought that we would end all of that by creating the Long Beach Housing Action Association. It was a perfect time to engage people in Long Beach who were getting agitated by the appearance, yet again, of the Ku Klux Klan. So we kicked off our campaign for rent control by plastering the downtown area with flyers and posters on the first day of a new little event called the Long Beach Grand Prix. Not part of the history you hear about, huh? People in Long Beach back then waged a good fight, and we brought together anti-racist organizers with housing justice organizers, but little did we know that we would have such a long and windy road ahead of us. But we are still here now. Now, 2019 was a year that reiterated that our vision of providing safe, healthy, and affordable housing for everyone is one of the most controversial and dangerous ideas ever in a society like ours that is dominated by the need for profit and wealth. So long as slumlords and developers continue to prioritize profits without any accountability, oversight, and regulation, we will be in a housing crisis. The fact is that in this country, there's always been government regulation in the housing market. Whether it was public housing, renter protections, heck, and even rent control. Today should be no different. And our elected officials should not get away with scapegoating us, the people, over private profit. This past year was a huge year for housing justice. In a big step for our movement here in Long Beach, the Housing Justice Coalition was formed as a group of organizations and individuals committed to improving the lives and circumstances of low-income, working-class tenants in our city. The housing crisis has reached a point where it's clear collective action is the only recourse to push back against a city that has prioritized the interest of developers in the name of economic development over us, the people. So what progress has come out of this momentum? Unfortunately, most of the real positive action has come by way of state government, but it's no small deal. We're talking about the Tenant Protection Act. That's right. That became the law of the land, including Long Beach, in January of this year. Now, what the heck does it do, you ask? A few big things. One, it caps annual rent increases to 5% plus the Consumer Price Index, or 10%, whichever is lower. 2, rent cannot be increased more than once a year. And 3, people cannot be evicted without just cause after you've been living in your home, your unit, for 12 months. Amen. That's right. And if you have been evicted through no fault of your own, you may be entitled to relocation assistance. Now let's make some noise about this huge victory across California. Now, with this Tenant Protection Act passing in September of 2019, but going into effect last month, this past January, there was a huge gap that got caused that meant that vulnerable tenants were taken advantage of by greedy landlords. Shocking, I know. The Housing Justice Coalition was on the ball and mobilized and worked with council allies here in town to develop a moratorium on no-fault evictions in Long Beach. Ultimately, the voices of the people were heard. The city passed the moratorium, ensuring that tenants were not being taken advantage of over the Thanksgiving and Christmas holidays. I would like to ask that we all give a big round of applause to the tenants, the families, the seniors, the youth, and the allies who put in the hard work to help pass our state law and the eviction moratorium. All right. Now, the new state law, like any law, didn't bring all good things. Before the state even passed the law, the community here pushed for and won a citywide tenant relocation ordinance that provided relocation payment equal to 2 months' rent. Yeah, that's right, 2 months. Like you heard me earlier, the state law only provides relocation benefits for 1 month. As usual, the majority of the Long Beach City Council saw that the state law, as a minimum, was just fine, just like the landlords wanted them to. Ultimately, the City Council repealed our Long Beach relocation ordinance. Now, the City Council says that tenants, not to worry, you're still protected, but we know from our experience, from real experiences in the community, there's a big difference between 1 month and 2 months rent assistance, especially when moving means you gotta pay first and last month's rent plus a security deposit. And it gets worse. After a lengthy process, the City Council here created a new law that expands the use of what they love to call short-term rentals in Long Beach, like Airbnb. Now, property owners here in Long Beach can list up to 3 properties without any limitations, opening the door for corporations to steal housing off the market and build in our neighborhoods ad hoc hotels. Let me emphasize this. If I own 3 properties, I can have all 3 of them on one of these home sharing websites like Airbnb. Now, why does this matter? It matters because Long Beach is a renter's city. We always have been, and we sure the heck are now. 60% of the residents in our city are renters. In some of our neighborhoods, it's 80–90%. We are the majority. But with this new law, allowing multiple listings for multiple days a year, the front door is wide open for landlords, developers, and corporations to steal this valuable housing off the market while our neighbors are being pushed into the street. So, unfortunately, we can stand here today and we can say that our city leaders are not standing up for the rights of working class tenants here in our city. People's homes and livelihoods are on the line. And it's us, it's our collective action that will end homelessness. That's why people across the city, a lot of us that are here tonight, we are continuing to learn our rights. We keep on organizing our buildings into tenant unions. And we are gonna seize the power that we have as a collective. Because when we stand together, we win. So let me hear it. When we fight, we win. When we fight, we win. All right. Now, I asked you to look around. This is us. This is our community. We need each other as we look towards our future obstacles. 8 years ago, former Mayor Bob Foster and the City Council unanimously passed this thing called the Downtown Plan. And that downtown plan paved the way for luxury development that you see all around you today. Now, maybe some of you have never heard of the downtown plan, so we're going to run a little clip to make sure you're filled in.
In 2012, we adopted our downtown plan. It really was innovative at the time. We decided to look at the downtown rezoning completely from scratch. It's allowed us to fast track where a developer can come in and get approvals.
Long Beach drew the largest line of urban renewal of any city in the entire country. They were desperate to bring people in.
When the downtown plan was completed, that sort of signaled to the development community that we were clearly open for business.
They wanted to get rid of rules to bring as many people in as possible, and that was a free-for-all. It still is.
To your credit, Amy, when you say there's been 0 variances since the downtown plan's been passed,
Isn't it amazing?
it's incredible. And I would love.
You have to balance the needs of development and the needs of renters who are much more vulnerable than property owners. You have to find a balance, and in some cities that balance is way off. If you look at Long Beach, it's a fantastic example of heavy investment. Downtown, along the waterfront, massive gleaming buildings, and you go 3-4 blocks away from that and seeing that there is virtually no investment in those communities at all.
This appeal is about the Planning Commission's unwillingness to address critical issues important to the future of downtown Long Beach. The Downtown Market Study said that there are 33,000 residents living in the downtown area. It said that 75% are low income. That is 24,000 folks who are at great risk of displacement, and that is the impact of gentrification.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, we'll take it behind the rail. Vice Mayor Lowenthal.
If you could explain for me the likelihood of 24,000 or 1,000 or any number of individuals being displaced, I would appreciate it.
It is certainly possible that people will be displaced. We don't deny that, but the plausibility of the displacement at that rate is questionable at best.
One thing we are is we're not stupid. So what was missing from that plan? Real community benefits. Community benefits. Benefits like job requirements for Long Beach workers, actual permanent jobs, investment into long neglected neighborhoods, and most importantly, affordable housing in any and all development. So here we are, despite the largest housing mobilization that this city has ever seen. Mayor Foster and the City Council, which, by the way, included our current mayor, Robert Garcia, when he was a City Council representative. They refused to include any affordable housing in the downtown plan. So, here we are. We got a housing crisis. With the angels no longer coming to Long Beach, Mayor Robert Garcia has now called on the City Council and the staff to get busy and start drafting a new downtown plan 2.0 that he wants to see later this year. That would include the so-called elephant lot and other potential redevelopment. We've got all that's around us as a testament to what unchecked, inequitable development looks like. And we are not gonna allow this to happen again, are we? We deserve and we need affordable housing now. So what do we want? What do we want? And when the heck do we want it? Woo! All right, okay. Now, the fact of the matter is, Long Beach is and has continued to be severely behind in building affordable housing. Surprise, surprise. Out of the 7,048 affordable units needed to be built here in town between 2013 and 2021, only 1,650 permits have been issued as of December 2017. That's worse than pitiful, that's criminal. That means that 77% of the affordable housing that the city says we got to have by 2021 hasn't even had a permit issued. No more gentrification plans.
We need a community plan. In the months ahead, we're going to have some significant housing policy battles, including the fight for inclusionary zoning, so that we can require any and all developers in all parts of this city to provide affordable housing units in any new projects. We don't know, we can't predict what's going to happen, but we do know the people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated. All right.
Let me see those emojis if you think we need affordable housing. Yeah. You know, something I've learned in my life is that egos, they come and they go. But movements last beyond lifetimes. And it's easy to get mad, and it's easy to get all worked up. But the question always becomes, so what are you gonna do about it? What are you gonna do? If we wanna know what the next decade looks like, we must look to the past and learn from our triumphs and failures. The power and the energy in this room is electric. And just as it's done over the last 8 years, it will propel us into the next year of building the world we know is possible. Let us remember the words of Frederick Douglass. Power concedes nothing without a demand. It never did, and it never will. In 2019, 50 community leaders graduated from the Long Beach Rising Leadership Training to become future organizers for racial, social, and economic justice in their communities. Concession stand workers at the Long Beach Convention Center fought and won a union to have a voice on the job. We don't need to look very far to be inspired into action, but it's up to us to rise up to the challenges ahead of us.
All right, you guys, how are you guys feeling? That was a lot of heavy stuff, huh? Tonight, we've recounted the obstacles that lie in the path of our collective vision, and the community wins driven by people power. Now we ask that you all commit to 3 important tasks that will move us closer to a more just society. First, let's get counted in the 2020 census. The census gives us a picture of who lives in our country. It's a process that takes place every 10 years in which we literally count every living person in the nation of all ages, races, immigration statuses, and ethnic groups. No matter who you are, we all count in the eyes of the census. The information collected in the census is used to make important decisions like how much money our schools should receive and how much goes to support healthcare for our loved ones. The count will also determine our political representation, everything from U.S. Congress to state representatives and even council districts. Once the census count is completed, Long Beach will undergo a community redistricting process to redraw the city council districts that will define us for the next decade. Long Beach has much to gain if we're all counted, and much to lose if we aren't. In fact, during the last census count, Los Angeles County lost more than $650 million because too many people did not participate and were not counted. Too many people from our neighborhoods in Central, West, and North Long Beach have historically not been counted in the census. We cannot let that happen again. It's time to change that, and because census information is used to make important decisions for the next 10 years, so much is at stake for Long Beach and our families. Those who work hard to silence the voices and deny votes of our communities are also working hard to keep us from participating in the census. There's also real barriers like distrust in the government, language access, and access to the internet. But don't be intimidated. Your information is protected by law and cannot be shared with anyone, including other government agencies or courts. And our community leaders are making sure that laws are followed and your information is kept safe. By joining the We Count Long Beach campaign, we can all ensure that our households and our neighborhoods get counted in the 2020 census. We'll need all of you to help spread the word and get everyone informed and counted. By participating in the census, it is standing up and saying, we are here and we matter. Stand up for your children, your friends, and for yourself by making sure you're counted. All of us in Long Beach have a duty to participate in the census. Stand up. Stand up if you're ready to get counted in the 2020 census. Stand up and make some noise if you're committed to getting counted. You count. Your voices need to be heard.
Second, let's get out to vote. Whether you're able to vote in our democracy or not, we all have a role to play in lifting our communities up. In addition to this March being our statewide presidential primary, voters in Long Beach City Council districts 2, 6, and 8 will be voting on who will be their city council members. These are all pivotal seats that represent some of the most working class neighborhoods in the city, including Martin Luther King Jr. Park, Wrigley, Cambodia Town, the Carmelitos, and the 10th Street Corridor. In addition, 2 school board seats are up for grabs at the Long Beach Unified School District Board of Education, with one representing Central and West Side Long Beach and the other representing East Long Beach. Since school board members never face term limits, the fact that these are open seats are a really, really, really big deal, with winners potentially impacting our schools for many years to come. Now, figuring out who to vote for and where people are on the issues can sometimes be really confusing and challenging, especially in local elections. That's why the Long Beach Rising Coalition and VoiceWaves Youth Media have compiled a candidate survey in English, Spanish, and Khmer that's accessible online. Are you wondering where the City Council candidates stand on youth investment, renters' rights, the 710 freeway expansion, workers' rights, and more? Help us share the candidate guide far and wide so voters in the 2nd, 6th, and 8th districts can be informed voters. Tonight, we've printed a sample of some of these questions, which we'll be handing out as you exit the sanctuary. Please, please, please remember to pick one up. Beyond candidates, we have key ballot measures that will help us move our unifying vision forward. On the March ballot, Measure R will bring much-needed justice reform to Los Angeles County. If we can pass Measure R, we will invest in rehabilitation and mental health treatment, reduce the jail population, and root out corruption to prevent abuses by the jails and sheriff's departments. In November 2020, Schools and Communities First will close those corporate loopholes and make corporations pay their fair share. Make some noise if you're ready to vote to reform LA jails and transform the way we fund schools and communities. Let me hear you. That's all pretty big stuff, real heavy big stuff. But you know, my grandmother says to me, keep living, it gets more interesting. These are all, of course, big opportunities, but biggest of all, the way we vote in California is changing. Instead of traditional polls on Election Day, Long Beach voters can vote at any vote center across the city and county. Raise your hand or show me that heart emoji if you got one of those voter guides in the mail. You got it in the mail. Good, good. These vote centers will be open 11 days prior to the election, giving voters 11 days to vote from February 22nd to March 3rd. Here you can cast your ballot, drop off your vote by mail ballot, or even register to vote the same day that you cast your ballot. That's right. That's right. Unlike other parts of this country, we now have same-day voter registration in California. Voting is changing in our state and in a progressive way, but we must ensure that everyone in our community is aware and informed. Make some noise if you're ready to help us get the word out and get out the vote. Let me see the heart emojis. Put it up, put them up, put them up. Yeah.
Third and finally, we want you to become a member of Long Beach Rising. The call to action doesn't end here, and we hope tonight has fired you up to commit to this movement for a more equitable Long Beach. If you're ready, we want you to text your name and zip code to 562-414-4404 to become a member of our Long Beach Rising Coalition. As a member, 562-414-4404. So keep it down somewhere, y'all. As a member, you'll receive the latest news, information, and action related to what we discussed here tonight. We have a world to win, so be sure to text your name and zip code to 562-414-4404. Right now, you can also find the number on the program. Be sure to join and invite others to text their name and zip code to 562-414-4404 to stay informed.
So before we part ways tonight, we want to leave you with some closing thoughts. Change is coming, whether the powers that be like it or not. The question, however, becomes, what do we need to imagine as we prepare for it? How will we articulate our vision? How will we care for one another? How will we experience our collective beauty and humanity in every moment? The people's state of the city is not the solution. You are the solution. I hope that before you leave, you can take a minute to turn to someone you don't know and get to know them. I hope that before you leave, you give thanks for being in this historic sanctuary tonight. This is our community, and it will take all of us. It's a long road, but I'm reminded of these very powerful words. Do not be daunted by the enormity of the world's grief. Do justly now. Love mercy now. Walk humbly now. You are not obligated to complete the work, but neither are you free to abandon it. Change is coming, and our futures are intertwined together. We must care for each other and be here for one another, and that will take time, commitment, and a willingness to step outside of the comfort and lean into the unknown together. Thank you for being here tonight.
I've been so tired lately, hurting my back just to pay fees. But this body and spirit don't break. Catch me with my fist up high till we make it. Every corner of the world there is hope, 'cause we need a world where our families know there's no fear in the way that we love, no arrest or separation. nation, no stolen wages or land. So get up, get up, get up. Hey, my city, can you hear me? We organize to be free. Together we make history. Keep on giving. Every breath is for a greater fight. It's something within our lives. It's okay to lean on me, 'cause we'll be going till we do it fine, and everybody sleeps under a bed light. Keep on giving. Every breath is for a greater fight. It's something within our lives. It's okay to lean on me, 'cause we'll be going till we do it fine, and everybody sleeps under a bed light.